Now, if you look at even the budget of the AU, right? A large chunk of the percentage of the financing of the budgeting of the AU is from outside. So the question is, practically, are Africans going to continue to be depending on donor support to drive development agenda on the continent? Now, what must we do to turn things around in that context? And I'm speaking because we're also an African.
Well, I'm an African, but I'm here. And I'm a UN staff, so yes. I want to stay away from very contentious issues. But I think what is important is, and I want to quote our regional director, Munezia Konwa, who says that Africa's money for Africa's development.
Absolutely. I like that.
in other words, how do we help and how do we support African countries to create wealth?
Right.
And to utilize the vast resources, whether it's human resources. And we have a youngest continent on earth. We have smart young people, brilliant, and I mean, how do we leverage that? How do we leverage the resources that we do have? We have 60% of the world's arable land are in this continent.
Absolutely.
We have water, we have everything.
Absolutely.
We have everything it takes to make the shift. And so the question then is, how do we do that? And I don't think I have an answer to everything.
Right.
But I think there are ways in which we can do certain things. First of all, I mean, it's increasingly, and I think it's very exciting to see that African countries are beginning to assert themselves and say, we don't want to be sending our commodities raw anymore.
Right.
I think that's a big plus.
Right.
And so if you're going to send your cocoa, or you're going to send your coffee, and you send your coffee raw beans and you get $2 a kilo, and somebody processes that same coffee and makes $40 a kilo, then actually you're exporting your wealth.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so the question then is, how do you then begin to add value to some of these things?
Right.
And the value addition is going to, you have to look at the entire ecosystem around it. Sure. You have to look at the policies that enable that. You have to you have to look at the not only the policies but also the human resources, whether they're equipped to be able to add those values. You have to look at issues around branding and packaging. There's a whole thing that you have to look at. So I think that is a good starting point. Number two is, we have I think if COVID did anything, COVID opened our eyes to the great things that our young people can do. And we've had a very great opportunity working with some fantastic young people in Uganda here who are creating things that we haven't seen before.
Right.
How do we support young people? And it shouldn't just be tokenism or just small things here and there. Let's show we are doing something. We have to be bold. We have to be focused. We have to be deliberate about how we support young people systematically to be able to, because they're going to be the ones who would make things happen in our generation, of course, in the generations to come. So how are we going to support them? And so those are some of the issues. We have to address issues around governance.
Right.
We have resource hemorrhage that's happening, deal with issues of corruption and stuff like that. But also where we do have resources, sometimes it's not needing more money. Sometimes how do we utilize the existing money more effectively and making sure that it can reach the last mile. So I think there's something quite exciting happening in the continent now. I mean, today you cannot talk about music in the world without talking about African music,
Absolutely.
Afrobeats and other things. I mean, and how do we utilize our creative industry much more strategically? I mean, we do have the Nollywood, we have a number of things that are happening. So there are spaces that are emerging. There are spaces that are new. There are spaces that we need to recreate in many ways. But I think I want to see the glass half full,
not half empty.
Not half empty. And so the extent to which we can help and support Africa's resources, Africa's money for Africa's development is going to be great. And the other thing, of course, is in the area of trade. Africa trades amongst itself only 16.6%, which is unfortunate in many ways. So how can you progress if you're not trading amongst yourselves? And yes, other spaces and other continents are trading amongst themselves, perhaps 50% plus more. Right. So I think with this 1.4 billion population that we do have, we must begin to look at, for example, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, and to see how best we make sure that it really happens.